Welcome to the Browns post-game show. It's your boy G. Bush and the Browns. Smoke the Dolphins. 31-6 at home. And let me tell you something. They smoked the Dolphins, and pretty much everybody gonna get fired for the Dolphins. We're gonna get to that coming up a little bit later in the show. Boy, y'all boys is on the first thing smoking. Peace out. We're going to get rid of y'all boys in a minute. Mike McDaniels, it looked like nasty work, but we're here to talk about the Browns, not the Dolphins. That's their problem. Let's start off with this 31-6 win. First and foremost, I'm excited to get this win. Let me tell you why I'm excited to get this win. Because winning matters. And if you want to set up a win, I don't care who you is. If you want to set up what we're coming up with, you got to have a win. And today, the Cleveland Browns got that win. We'll talk about that, but you can do two things at once. You can do two things at once, people. We'll talk about quarterback play a little bit later on in the show. We'll talk about defense a little bit later on in the show. But first and foremost, we got to talk about you got one dude. You got a guy in Quinshon Judkins. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to get to Kevin Stefanski. Shall somebody say, did you have a meeting with someone? Did you and the defense have a meeting with somebody? It looked like you heard it loud and clear, didn't you? We played some comments from when Myles Garrett on yesterday's show. It seemed like those comments from Myles Garrett made their way to the booth. We'll talk about that coming up as well. We're going to get to a lot. It's the Browns post-game show. And it's the ones you've been waiting for. You know what it is right here on the Barbershop. Come on in. Let's break this win down. And first and foremost, let's start off by saying it was a win. The Cleveland Browns beat the Miami Dolphins. Actually, they beat the brakes off them 31-6 at home. Browns dominate behind strong defense and 3 touchdowns by Quinshon Judkins. And let me tell you something right now. The Cleveland Browns got a dude. Listen, I tell people all the time, you need dudes and playmakers. And I kill the Browns all the time for not having dudes and playmakers. But I got to give the flowers where the flowers is due. You might not want to hear it, but let me just tell you this. Quinshon Judkins, man, if you line these dudes up and you look for a ball player and you looking for one of them dudes, he is one of them. I'm going to tell you what. He led this game, and by the way he plays the game is angry, mad, and upset, and I love it. I love the fact that he came from Ohio State. And I love the fact that he said early and often, looky here, man. We're not going to play with you today. He was getting the offense together. He was throwing his hands up. We was doing his thing. Yeah, we're going to get to that offense. Hey, we're going to get to that. Hey, Lady Libra, we're going to get to that. Hey, I told y'all over here we could do two things at once, can't we? You can give credit where credit is due, but you can also talk that talk. Quinshon Judkins, 3 touchdowns on the ground. You see him dragging folks. And this is the type of running game you're going to need because all you need is a quarterback. You get you a quarterback. See, sometimes things set up a little different. I wanted to see what these dudes is talking about now because earlier in this week, people was chirping and talking. And Myles Garrett said something earlier. This is why you should be listening. This is why you listen to G. Bush. This is why when everybody was going left, G. Bush told you something. And I showed you yesterday what it was. I showed you yesterday. I said the reason why you got to make people uncomfortable is when you make people uncomfortable, you force them to do things that they would not usually do. And Myles Garrett says something very early last week. Let me show you what Myles Garrett. I said, this is unbothered Myles Garrett. This unbothered Myles Garrett. Let me take this down. Let me show you unbothered Myles Garrett. This is what Myles Garrett had to say when it came to Quinshon Judkins, right?
I would have liked to see us stick to the run a little bit.
What you say?
With a dynamic playmaker like Quinshon. Hell, even Dylan. Both of them getting the ball. Both of them have different styles, but effective runners in their own right. So, would have liked to see it, but they saw differently.
Well, I know we'll take 2 more.
G. Bush gave you that. when people is running around screaming, I can't believe Myles Garrett said that. I can't believe Myles Garrett. Run it back, G. Bush. What did Myles Garrett say he wanted to see? What did he want to see earlier this week? But people get mad for you telling the truth and putting that smoke. And for you telling them that I said this was spicy. Myles Garrett must have been having meetings with coaches all week. And I saw a different level of focus from Kevin Stefanski because they just put Judkins in the Wildcats and say, quarterbacks be damned. Listen, when they see them first few footballs go out, when they see them first through throws and the interception that went right through the defensive back's hand, Jerry Jeudy caught it, and that other one they called back, they said, oh, no. Here's what we're going to do. Come on here, sit by me. I'm going to get a ball to Quinshon Judkins in the Wildcat. I don't know if we got to dust the Wildcat off. What did you say, Miles?
I would have liked to see us stick to the run a little bit, especially with a dynamic playmaker like Quinshon.
Hold on. What'd you say again, Miles? What did you want to see? You wanted to see this where? You wanted to see this in Pittsburgh. What'd you say?
I would have liked to see us stick to the run a little bit, especially with a dynamic playmaker like Quinshon.
Hold on. Now, Myles Garrett, I thought he was complaining last week. People was mad at him. He said that he would like to do what?
Help even Dylan. Both of them getting the ball. Both of them have different styles, but effective runners in their own right. So would have liked to see it, but they saw differently.
I know we've
And you know what they did today, Myles Garrett? You know what they did today? They gave the ball to this young man and said, move the hell out the way. Remember I talked about spamming people? Sometimes you just got to get the ball to your best playmaker and move the you-know-what up out the way. Then you didn't see Dylan Gabriel dropping back 58 whole times for no points, no touchdowns, 58 whole times. They figured out that week, this ain't what it is. Then they definitely figured out, I said, dang, if Flacco can do it. You know what we're going to do? You know what? We be having receivers drop the ball, and we ain't really got a quarterback like that. So here's what we're going to do. Hand the ball to Quinshon Judkins. And he did exactly what he was supposed to do, which is get touchdowns and easy ones. He run past dude. And this is the thing about the run game. And this is why I be trying to tell people over here, do not fret. We all know that you ain't got no quarterback right now. We all know what it is. No shots to Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he didn't really play today. They just basically said, come sit by me. Don't be throwing the ball to nobody else. And we're going to hand the ball off and let Quinshon Judkins win this game in his defense. And that's what they did. But here's why, and a lot of people, I'm going to get to this right now. I was going to save it till later. They say, G. Bush, why don't we you should have put Shedeur in. No. We're not putting him nowhere. Why? Let me explain that. I'm not about to have love the barbershop, but when you're playing clips, we can't hear it. Attention to audio, please. Did they not hear that? Y'all didn't hear that? I think the clip was a little low. But I think it was, I think I recorded it low. So, but anyway, here's the thing. Regardless of a simple fact is you really want a dude coming off the sideline in a wet, rainy football game to get no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Here's the reality of the situation. I always said when I was playing football games like this, if I didn't sack the whole entire game, the one thing that I always hated was whether I was a backup, a regular player, any player. One of the things that I always say is this. I'm coming off the sideline cold. I could pull a hamstring. I ain't used to the game. I ain't used to none of that. I'm in here, I'm playing with the line. I'm trying to figure out. Now all of a sudden, I got dudes that's hot, fresh, ready out of the game, lathered up, and I get sacked, or I hit my hand on a helmet, or I do something. You saw what happened to Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers came in the game after Tua. He cold off the bench. He almost threw a pick the first time he got the football. Man, listen, I didn't like it when they was bringing in Dylan Gabriel for Flacco. I'm like, no, if Flacco is playing poorly, let Flacco stay out there and do what he gonna do. But it's for me, I'm gonna sit here and do my thing. We're not about to put, we up 25. It's garbage time. I'm not trying to go in garbage time, Devin and dude. They're not putting in 12 guys. You up 25. The reality of the situation, nor should Shedeur Sanders is not going to gain nothing from going in up 25. Them little backup. His dad even said, I ain't coming in till you starting. Listen, hey, I ain't about to put him in today for what? The reality of the situation is this. I want the full opportunity. Don't put me in if I'm auditioning for what I'm doing, don't put me in 35 seconds. I'm cold off the bench and then something happened. And you're like, oh my gosh, why did they even have him in? Nope, we're not doing that. No. Go ahead, finish the game. Do your thing. We'll get to the quarterback situation a little bit later on. But it ain't no knock against them not putting him in. At the end of the day, Shedeur Sanders is like, listen, no, I'm not trying to be in there anyway. It's cold, it's rainy, I'm cold, and what good is that going to come out? I'm going to just hand the ball off to a couple of dudes. Nah, we got the game. The Cleveland Browns is up 25. They're up 31-6. There's no need for none of that. At the end of the day, we'll talk about when the opportunity is coming. Because, by the way, quarterback play, a lot to be desired. As we continue on, let's take a look at these what's the names. Let's get to this. Also, let's talk about this defense. A lot of people talked about the defense and talked about why they need to step up and why this, that, and this. The defense ain't been that good. Again, the defense showed me something to be encouraged by. You know why? Because you're going to need these same defensive players to be doing something at the end of the season. You still need a team. Look, you need, and let me talk about this in terms of development. Let me talk about this in terms of development. The Cleveland Browns got a bunch of young players, including Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, including Carson Schlesinger, Mason Graham. All that good stuff. They want to build and develop that. The thing that I do like about this situation is you can't be in a locker room and see people consistently losing. That's not good for your mental health of your team. And why right now, you're trying to teach people how to win games, how to learn games. I need people to understand that. How to win games and how to learn to win games. And with Myles Garrett, said and came out and said was, hey, I need this to be popping off. I need us to be more creative. When he goes to Jim Shorts and says, hey, I know we can get home with 4. Hey, I know we can get home with 4, but bring some more pressure. When you get guys like Grant Delpit that say, I don't even remember what it is to win. The goal of this situation is you need to turn this winning mentality into something big, into something special, into something with some momentum. And having people around that don't know how to win, that you keep losing these football games, ain't going to help none of them. Not no quarterbacks, no nothing. So the fact that the defense said today, again, when the offense couldn't get no points, guess what they said? Well, we're going to show you again what we need to do, and that's lean on what we got. 3 interceptions, right? Multiple sacks, under duress. And this is a game, and this is a smooth game that the defense said, here we go, lean on us. Lean on us. Let's keep it pushing. Let's take a look at these stats real quick. I'm going to get to these stats Trust me. Stick around. You know, we always bring it back around. Let's talk about what we saw today in this box score. All right? We'll go through it. Shout out to the defense. Carson Schlesinger, big game today. 7 tackles for him. I thought Devin Bush played a really nice game. Alex Wright was all over the place on screens, outside tosses. He was just making plays all over the football field. He had 5 tackles, 4 solos, 2 tackles for a loss. Grant Delpit, 4 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 2 quarterback hits. He backed up what he was talking about during the week. He backed up what he was trying to do. I thought, where is he at? Let me show you this dude. He showed me something. I'm looking at this for him in a box score. Where he at? Let me see. Where my guy at? I know, listen, where is Jenkins at? Rayshawn Jenkins. Rayshawn Jenkins. I thought he had a nice football game. He had an interception today. I thought he was all over the field. He got his hands on the football, a tip. Tyson Campbell, who was victimized last week, and I called him out for getting victimized. I thought Tyson Campbell had a really nice game today too. Right? 2 pass deflections. 1 he actually came out with a turnover. He got a pick 6. I thought he showed a nice burst when catching Devon 18. This dude is an Olympic track style guy. Olympic track. And he walked him down to slow up a touchdown. So I thought he had a real nice game. Myles Garrett was Myles Garrett again today. He had another sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 quarterback hits. 2 quarterback hits. So I thought the defense, they backed up what they said he was going to do, and they backed up what he needed to do. Right? So this all plays into the grand scheme of things. Because in my thought process, all you need is a quarterback. All you need is some competent quarterback play that is going to give me an opportunity and give him that spark. And the defense showed you today that they are still engaged and still playing with a level of pride. Right? They calling out people, holding people accountable. And what Myles Garrett called out the coaching staff and said, y'all got to be more creative. Y'all better start giving the ball to Quinshon Judkins. You guys better start figuring it out on your end and holding the rope like we holding the rope. And that is very encouraging. Because again, understand the thesis statement, leave that right here and watch how we bring it back. Let's get to this. Offensive side of the football. Let's start with the Dolphins. Tua was trash today. He actually got benched. He actually got benched. He was a veteran. 12 of 23, 100 yards, 4.3 average, three interceptions, sacked twice, 24.1 rating. Nasty work. Bye-bye. Quinn Ewers came in the game. He was not much better. He almost threw a pick the first part of the game. He looks just as pedestrian as I thought he would look. Devon A-Chain had some nice runs and bursts, but the Cleveland Browns defense held him in check. The only way they were scoring points today was letting Devon A-Chain kill him. They didn't let it happen. 13 carries, 82 yards, no touchdowns. Ollie Gordon didn't do much. And the Miami receiving, if your quarterback got 100 yards, we're not even reading their stats. That's not what we're going to do. But the Cleveland Browns at quarterback weren't much better. 13-18. 13-18. 116. 6.4 for Dylan Gabriel, 89.1 rating. Now let's talk about that. I thought he could have threw an interception that went right through the defender's hand. Jerry Jeudy caught it. There was another interception that he had. He threw that football, and they called a holding on, I think, Minkah Fitzpatrick. That was questionable, but we'll take it. It was questionable, though. And most of his throws were bootlegs, things that are still under 5 yards, under 10 yards, and somewhere in that area. I thought Kevin Stefanski did a good job of creating a way that he did not that did not put the team at a disadvantage. And I think Kevin Stefanski all week felt the heat from people saying, oh, no, this isn't it. This offense isn't it. You're throwing the ball 52 times, 58 dropbacks for Dylan Gabriel. He ain't did nothing. And guess what? He came out today and said, you know what we're going to do? We're not even going to put the ball in his hands. We're going to have Quinshon Judkins come back here, and he's going to take these wildcat snaps. And we're not even giving no opportunities. Won't be no fumbles or nothing. He understood the assignment. It's raining. Your best guy is Quinshon Judkins, and Myles Garrett said it best. You stick with the run. If you take a look at it, if you get rid of the one long run of 46, you're looking at 24 carries for 40-some yards. That ain't crazy. But here's how the game of football works. If you keep going at it, if you keep going at it, you can break one. And now all of a sudden your average don't look too bad. Also on the goal line, instead of putting the ball in the quarterback's hands, turnovers, kicking field goals, you know what you do? Let's go ahead and direct snap it back to him and let's see what he can do. And those 3 touchdowns in the red zone turned out to be what it was. Other than that, nothing crazy. Harold Fanning, 4 catches, 36 yards. Jamari Thrash had 1 catch. 2 catches for Judy for 17. I knew I should have sat you down for a reason. I did. Malachi Corley caught a nice screen pass. But that was half of it what it was. So you guys got to look at it like this. They basically said, we understand what the goal is. We got to come out of here with a victory. But let me tell you this. I said this before. Just keeping the football clean and throwing for 100 yards here or there is not going to keep your job. And I think a lot of people say this all the time, and this is what it is. I said this back in camp. You win from the pocket as a quarterback. You're going to be able to win and be a franchise quarterback if you can win from 10 to 25 yards downfield. That's where your money is made. Because those are the throws that you need accuracy, touch, anticipation, and understanding that you need to be able to cut it loose and let it go. I watched the film. We watched it right here on the film review with Tyvis, and we talked about throws that he wouldn't let go. Now, in this game, you're going to be able to get away with that. Because what we're going to do is we're going to get turnovers. We're going to get the team down. There's no need to put the ball in harm's way. And as a matter of fact, we're going to make sure we ain't doing it because we'll run Wildcat. But that ain't what it is. If you take a look at this, at the end of the day, I've said it and a lot of people have said it. Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion, we talked about on UCSS. His superpower is, I'm going to be mid. And by the way, I can't even really truly say he's really safe with the football because he has multiple turnover-worthy throws a game. Eventually, that'll catch up with him. And my thought process is this. For people get a little anxious, right? They get a little anxious and I need to see Shedeur Sanders tomorrow or right now in this game because they feel like it needs to be a progression. No. That ain't the way it works now. So when you're the backup quarterback, that means it's close. That's close. It ain't that big of a gap. And the longer you continue to play and people start carrying you, when they're carrying you, when the team is carrying you, when the defense has to have 3 turnovers and a pick 6 for you to get points, at some point in time, it ain't just about whether or not you're keeping the ball or keeping the games close or you doing what you need to do. At some point, they're going to say, look, we've made the evaluation. His upside is backup quarterback. Everybody in the building, whether they want to put it to you like this or not, they understand that. Because if they didn't understand that, they wouldn't have traded Joe Flacco. The goal is always been to see if he is a franchise quarterback. And by the way, it has never been a situation where, oh, we think that Dylan Gabriel has better traits than Shedeur Sanders. No pundit has ever said that. No draft analyst, no player, no ex-coach, none of those guys. So the thought process is that, hey, because you win a football game and your defense and the running game dominated, then you can't critique what's going on at quarterback. That's a falsehood. That's not, I don't need the Cleveland Browns to get blown out in order to make a change at quarterback. I don't even need to for the Cleveland Browns to be sputtering. All I got to look and say is, okay, does the dude behind him have a higher upside, a better opportunity to become a franchise quarterback and have a skill set that we feel like is better suited to getting not just wins, but competing at the top level, not just skating with the Dolphins. I need you to do that against the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bills and the division guy. So I don't need to sit here and tell you, oh, Dylan Gabriel was trash and the Cleveland Browns need to lose every game before people can consider talking about Shedeur Sanders. Because at the end of the day, just not losing the game at quarterback won't keep your job. Again, you know why? Because if that was the prerequisite, they would have never traded Joe Flacco. So when people say, put him in now and see if the progression is, no, I'm not doing that. For what? Because when he get an opportunity, like I always kept it a buck. See this, you got to think like this. You got to think like this. I'm not out here telling people, hey, take Dylan Gabriel out the game today. I need Dylan Gabriel to be out of the game right now. For what? Because here's what y'all got to understand. The second Shedeur Sanders gets in a football game, please believe all of the patience that I'm affording Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders will not get that. We've seen it already. We've seen it in one football game, how that works. He played well in the first game against the Panthers. Now, all of a sudden, that game does not count. I don't count Tony Grossi as an analyst. That's why I don't count him as an analyst. He's a journalist. We're not listening to that. We already know that. That foolishness, we stopped mentioning him weeks ago. He's theater at this point. But the reality of the situation is they're not going to afford him that level. He played well the Panthers game. He played, by the way, he still didn't turn the ball over against the Rams, but people was ready to say he's not ready to ever play because of a preseason game. But we've already broken that down. So here's what I'm telling you as we continue to move this thing forward. Let me take a look at the schedule. Let me take a look at your schedule. He's played 3 games right now, Dylan Gabriel has. And whatever I've always said is, I want to see the progression. You're never going to say, G. Bush, you are a complete hater. You didn't say nothing about Dylan Gabriel when he did this, that, and the third. You was a hater. You didn't give him a chance or an opportunity. Oh, no. I'm a just and fair guy for the most part. So when I said I'm going to give you a long enough runway that I want to see your progression. I want to see what you did week 1, week 2, your 3rd game, your 4th game, and we're going to see what you need to do to evaluate. Let me take a look at this. Here we go. Here's the schedule. Dylan Gabriel's played in Minnesota. He's played against the Steelers. He got the Miami Dolphins. They won that football game. He didn't do much in that game. This is a very big week coming up at New England and a team that's playing well on the road, right? After that New England game, if I'm not seeing no progression, if I'm not seeing him taking those steps and seeing what he can do with them reps, we're going to have a long conversation in the Browns front office going into that bye week. And I need to literally say to myself, is it time that we start making moves? Is it time that we need to go ahead and figure some things out? Because just because if the Browns come out there and they win that football game and the defense of Quinshon Judkins does it like that, then I got to make a decision to say, is the quarterback helping or hurting? And I want to see progress. That's what we need to see. And if the progress is not being made, then at that point, I don't care what the defense and running game look like. I'm making an evaluation based on that. And if they do make that evaluation based on that, that means that you're at week 10. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 9 more games, right? You got 9 more games to play. Joe Flacco only played 4. Dylan Gabriel, if they make a move after the bye week, would only have been playing 4. That means if Shedeur Sanders comes in and plays well, that is 9 games, whole ones. That's a lot of games. Even if they say, you know what, in that off week, that bye week, even if they ain't made their mind up and said, I don't know, we're going to give Dylan Gabriel opportunity against the Jets on the road. Now, let me tell you something. If it don't look like that by halftime of the Jets game, best believe Shedeur Sanders will be warming up going in the second half. And even if they did that, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you know why I would be excited? And you know why? I told you, remember, tuck that away in your back pocket. Remember that? I said, tuck this away. It gives you an opportunity to do 1 or 2 things. Boom. You got a runway to get them together after the New England game for 2 whole weeks. And for that 2 whole weeks, from October 27, which is Monday, all the way till Sunday, November 9th, you got an opportunity to get him ready and put in plays that's going to make him succeed. That's best suited for what he does best. Right? Even if you don't make the change after that week, and you make the change and say, if he's not playing well, Dylan Gabriel ain't playing well against the Jets, you got an opportunity to make a play in that game, during the game and move to him, or at the end of the game and saying, okay, he's going to play and we're going to make a move. And then even if you don't even play a quarter against the Jets, you still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 football games. And you're encouraged by doing it that way because guess what? I just saw today that the defense is still engaged. I saw today what it can look like if the defense is still balling and you do get pressure and you are enthusiastic. I just saw today that I got a solid running game and with a dude that looks like a dude. But guess what? I can still run the ball and I can play defense. And now I got somebody in the game that can really put the ball downfield. That really is going to take chances downfield. And that's going to open it up even more. So as you can see, your complementary parts playing well gives you an opportunity for the organization to say, guess what? We ain't even tripping. We're not even tripping like that. because we could put him in right now, and it can't be no worse than what we're seeing right now. The ceiling has been met. So at the end of the day, I look at this thing like this. You could do two things at once. They can win football games. That ain't got nothing to do with somebody talking about whether or not the quarterback needs to be replaced or you need to go to Shedeur Sanders. It is what it is. So you could do two things at once, because guess what? If your running game and your defense is that good, and you got to do, and you look like you got somebody that's going to ball out, that can make certain throws, come on over here. Let's make a change. So put him in. I don't need to see him today. I want the full effect. I always tell people I ain't half-stepping. I want the full effect. I want the full effect. So you looking at it like this, if the game don't go the way the game's supposed to go next week, we can be talking about bye week. We could be talking bye week and need a football game. And it's all because of the rest of the supporting cast feels like, oh, we carrying people. Let's get somebody in here that we ain't got to carry. We're going to get to these comments. Where y'all at? 856 comments in here. Let's get to them. Let's get to Neo Kid Sly. Why didn't Shedeur get garbage time minutes? Also, Dillon Gabriel didn't do too much of anything. Oh yeah, we covered that. He ain't doing that much of nothing. That's what it is. You know what type of time we was on when they ran Wildcat. So Stefanski was like, yeah, we're not going to put the ball in harm's way. It's sloppy out here. We going to run this football. But I always tell people, like I said earlier, as a player, I was never excited. You know, sometimes I've seen this happen more than once. You know how many people, and notoriously, Kenny Pickett said at the end of a football game when they moved to Mason Rudolph, they told Kenny Pickett to go into a football game. He's like, nah, I'm cool. You know, players be doing that. They do it all the time. Because as a player, you don't want to, first and foremost, you never want to go out and start. If you have to, don't get it twisted. If an injury happens and they tell you to go in, it's unacceptable for you not to go in, because that means you're not going out to help your team in a battle. You like your compadre, your brother got hurt, and you're gonna sit there and say you're not gonna go in and help. Yes, ain't nobody supposed to be doing that. However, if everybody is healthy and it's just garbage time, there are a lot of players that do not want to run on the field because you're cold. Anytime you are cold and you out here moving around, you could pull a hamstring, pull a calf, anything. You ain't trying to go in a football game doing that. Also, I'm not trying to go in this football game and you put me in a position where it's garbage time. I can understand if you put me in and we down, or it's a tie football game, or it's a game that was in the balance. I even said the same thing about Dillon Gabriel coming in the games for Flacco. I'm like, that ain't no real evaluation. We ain't trying to do that. TW, this game could have been played without Dillon Gabriel and they still would have won. Judkins was the running back and the quarterback. That's what we call minimizing. And this is what I always be telling people. Like, if people will try to say that this is going to be the way that the Cleveland Browns are going to win football games, we're going to take every single win we get. It's nasty. You need these wins in order to start building a good culture. You need guys to light a fire up under people, and you want them to not have a certain level of quit. So I need to be developing in that now, because if and when Shedeur gets in the game, you still need every one of those traits that I'm talking about now. A good defense, a good running game, people that are going out there fighting hard, playing for each other, offensive linemen that are willing to block for you, guys that are putting that effort out there to make plays. So you got to be developing those habits today, even if he's not in a football game, because there's other young players that need to do that. True life. Y'all happy about this sad game? This is the only game y'all will win this season, so enjoy it. Still doesn't fix the problem you have with a head coach. Listen, I told you before this game. Go back and rewind the tape I said yesterday. I said, I don't care if the Browns do win this football game. That doesn't change my opinion on whether Kevin Stefanski should stay. I still don't think so. I still don't think he's a good play caller. Like, you're supposed to beat the Miami Dolphins, and I'm happy you do win, but beat the Miami Dolphins. But I don't need the Browns to lose every single game to prove that Kevin Stefanski is not a good coach. That's not the exercise. And you still want wins in order to evaluate other people. But this one win against a 1-5 team don't change the way I think about Kevin Stefanski. They're supposed to win. This one, especially given the way that the Dolphins looked. Mickey Mouse and Friends playing Daffy Duck and Friends don't count. That's funny. It is, because that Daffy Duck and Friends about to get fired. Mike McDaniel and them. I mean, how many penalties in turn? I mean, they look like nasty work. They look like nasty work. But at the end of the day, I'm taking all wins. If I'm playing my little niece, if I'm playing my cousin, if I'm playing John down the street, Thomas the Tank Engine, I'm trying to keep all wins. That's how I'm moving. Brazil, Shedeur's first player to get robbed and smile. Stuck while they take his bucks, can't get cut, can't get traded, no practice squad. Coach Prime has sent help. Prime know what it is. Here's another thing, too. Here's another thing. The one thing I do say is this. Sometimes you got to get some intel. You know what I like? I like the fact that he's not running around doing practice squad stuff. That's what I like. Yeah, he might have started this week, but the fact is, now you are the number 2 quarterback. There are things that you can learn and understand, right? You know what type of plays Kevin Stefanski wants to run, whether they're good or bad or indifferent. You understand what the protection schemes are, right? Because now you're actually getting to sit in on game plans, right? You're actually going over the script for the week. So before, as the 3rd quarterback, you ain't doing nothing but doing scout team, over there throwing with trash cans and not even on the game plan. Now you're actually progressing and at least hearing what it looks like, hearing what's smelling, getting into the game meetings. So now you got to have a plan. When you get in the game, now you understand, okay, if they want to call this play and there's a backside dig, coach said don't throw to that backside dig. It's too risky. I got to understand that if I see a certain coverage, I'm going to go to that backside dig because I think I can do it and I got enough arm talent to do it. And I understand that because here's the catch-22. And I've always said this. Here's what the catch-22 is. And this is why I'm able to say what I said about Dylan Gabriel, about why just not checking it down is not going to help you. Shedeur Sanders is in a predicament where if they do go to him and when they go to him, there's nobody behind him, right? Bailey Zappi, they're not going to play Bailey Zappi, at least if they want to keep their jobs. But when he does play and he does get in a football game, he understands this. Me checking the football down is not going to help prove that I'm a guy that you don't have to take a quarterback in 2026. So Shedeur Sanders is understanding, like, yeah, if I want to check the ball down and do some of this dink and dunk stuff, that ain't going to keep me from drafting a quarterback, and they thirsty about drafting quarterbacks regardless. So he's going to have to come out and do his thing. He's going to have to come out and throw the ball downfield, right? So that's the thing I'm excited about, because he understands that didn't keep Dylan's job, because I'm in the position now, right? So to me, I think there is some value in the fact that he is actually sitting. This is, to be honest, this is the first time these last couple of weeks. This is the first time he's actually even gotten reps, gotten to see the playbook, understanding what the game plan is supposed to look like. That's the first time he getting any of that. And a lot of people didn't even want him to get that. So that's how I go about looking at the situation. Brody's bottom line, G-Bush, Kevin don't want him in the game because it could have been 51-0 and they still would have sat him. Brody's bottom line, here's the thing, you got to think about it like this. Have you stopped to think about this? What if it ain't in his hands? At this point, does it really matter what Kevin wants? Because the second the owner has gotten to a point, or even the general manager has gotten to a point where it's like, hey, I see that we doing this with Dylan, quarterback play. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's time to go ahead and make that move. The owner then told you all you need to know. He said, oh, both of them are going to play. Oh, and by the way, you already know he's closer to playing because they traded Joe Flacco. So at that point, do you actually think, Brody, that Kevin was aware that they traded Flacco or endorsed it? No. He was always supposed to be the stopgap. Guess what? They took that piece off the board. That's the tea leaves you should be reading. J.A., thank you for the super chat. They are banking on Dylan Gabriel not having turnovers. Pat Mahomes has two interceptions. Who would rather have? What would you rather have? Dylan's just not him. I'm sorry. That's a good way of putting it. Sometimes people will say, oh, because he didn't throw any interceptions, that means that's going to keep his job. No, it ain't. I mean, he could have 0 interceptions, but at the end of the day, it's about what's the upside of that. You have 2 and no interceptions, but you don't have no touchdowns. So we are looking to get touchdowns. That's the easiest way to go about thinking about it. Charles the Great. Kevin don't trust Dylan Gabriel. This game was the best opportunity to see what he can do. The other groceries look good enough. I think that's a good way of putting it, Charles. I think it's a great way of putting it. At the end of the day, and I'm going to stop saying end of the day, when you take a look at it, yes, he does like what Dylan Gabriel can do, because Dylan is a guy that's not going to put the ball in harm's way. And I can't even say that because he had a lot of turnover-worthy throws. I mean, he could have had 2 interceptions this game. So I think he's a little nervous to put him out there when it should have been the opposite. This game against the Dolphins was a great opportunity to see what he can do. But he realizes that he is a little bit limited. So he's like, I'm not even going to put the game in his hands. I'm going to make sure I get out of here with a win, which is, if it was me, that's the smart play. Because if he would have lost this football game, we was going to go crazy. So I can't be mad at him when Kevin Stefanski don't play to his strengths and he don't put those positions, playmakers, the best playmakers he has, an opportunity to touch the football. But then I can't get mad because he gave the ball to Quinshon Judkins 100 times and he made sure that they didn't put the ball in harm's way. I can't have it both ways. But it does give you an idea of what are some of the shortcomings that Kevin Stefanski is actually trying to avoid. Stay tuned. I think Barry pretty decent with his draft and Campbell trade. I know it's the coaching. By the way, Campbell looked good. He looked good today. He's fast. He's long. He's athletic. He got a pick 6 today. You know, that's the thing you guys got to watch out for too, because the more that Andrew Barry's picks like Judkins play and Schlesinger play, and now the Tyson Campbell, if that trade looks good, then he definitely has an opportunity to pull rank and say, well, listen, I've been kind of good at my picks. you see who our best playmakers are, and it gives him enough cachet that if it's to a point where he's like, okay, it's time to now start playing Shedeur Sanders, well, guess what? He got a little more clout. He got a little more cachet, have a little more pull, right? Because some of his other players look good. Beautifully blessed. The people trying to blame AB for the offensive drafts, wow. Stefanski was on the side of him. He could have picked receivers like he picked Dylan. I like what you just said right there, beautifully blessed, because there's a thing, this is narrative that people is out here trying to do this. They trying to make it seem as if they're not in lockstep. The Cleveland Browns told you exactly what the lockstep was. Cleveland Browns let you know exactly that we are aligned top to bottom. So now, why are you trying to separate them? Why is it, oh no, Kevin's safe, but Andrew ain't? You don't believe what they say? Because you say I should be believing that, but they say they picked the players together. I don't see why you can get that off. Beautifully Blessed also says, thank you so much for the super chat. Dylan has played 3 games. He has 3 or more to play with no pressure of Shedeur. Then Shedeur should have the last 6 unbothered. Somebody catching. Let me drink some water on that. Beautifully Blessed is locked in today. You know why I feel she's locked in? She understands the game. See, this game is chess, not checkers. This game is chess. And in chess, game is a patience game. Game is a game where strategy. Chess, you got to be thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 moves ahead. Because you got to realize, just like you should learn from what we learned earlier. The Rams game, they made it like that's the only game Shedeur Sanders ever played. Panthers game don't count. Think about how many people don't mention that game. How many people only talk about the Rams game? So you guys should already know what type of thumb is on the scale when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. He got to overdo it. He got to overproduce. So what Beautifully Blessed is pointing out, he got 3 games. He got 3 more if you want them. I want to see at least 7 games. I actually think that if take a look at the couple weeks, he got another bye week. He got a situation where he's playing at New England, and then you got at Jets. If they let him have all those games, right? That means he would have played. Is that 6? He played 3. No, that would only mean he played 5, because I'm only trying to do 5 if it ain't working with the bye week. I'm only trying to do 5. And then Shedeur has 7. But in order to do that, you have to be a little unbothered and be like, let's see what he got. Have an opportunity to prove you wrong or right. Because what I'm going to do is when Shedeur gets in the game, I'm going to remind him about everything I just said right now. I don't want to hear none of that. How many times I didn't say Dylan Gabriel 3rd round pick. How many times you heard me say that? When he didn't score no touchdowns, I didn't come out here and go crazy. I still ain't said, you know what? Dylan Gabriel is pure hot garbage. I never said that. I've actually said that he's actually a serviceable backup. And you know what? He's not. He can go come in the game and he ain't going to make it look like this guy is incompetent. No. But I need that same energy when the other quarterback is in. See? G-Dub. We should start to hear things about Mr. Watson. He'll be ready after the bye. That's the plan. Deshaun Watson, I've already said how I feel about this. There's a large contingency of people who are willing to be like, oh, Deshaun Watson is completely washed. But there's been multiple other players who look just as bad, if not worse, in this system with Kevin Stefanski. I've also said that they colluded on the guy. After the Browns gave him that contract, and it came out that to the entire league, said under no circumstances will you ever give out a contract like that. And they had to make some emergency meetings to let them know, we're not going to do that. But I do believe that they said, listen, Deshaun, if you are a good soldier, you mentor, you don't make no noise in social media, you ain't no more cases, and you continuously stay on this roster without being a distraction, we, the NFL, will make sure, because you can't cut them, to field a team. So if you cool and you don't mess up, we'll make sure you got another opportunity to play somewhere else. And they collectively agreed to that. But it's a long shot for me to think that he's going to play. Could it happen if all of them get hurt? Sure. But I don't think at this point they would have made that statement, calling that a mistake and then playing them again. I just don't see it. And it's not because I'm against it. I'm just sitting there thinking about the way the league works and how they maneuver and make backroom deals. TW says DGs and the team win would have been overshadowed if Sylvester got in. Kevin wasn't having it. That's another good point. When you get ready to start, like, I tell people all the time, when you get ready to start him for that day, the sports world is going to stand up and take note. The second he get in that football game, any reporter worth their salt, any of them, is going, because they gonna want to know. Hey, Shedeur, I saw Shedeur in that last series. What was the calculus behind that, Kevin? I just wanted to, get him some work. Does this mean that you're not confident in the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, or what he's doing? No, this doesn't change about what Dylan is doing. We just wanted to give Shedeur, okay. So what about next week? Can he possibly start next week? Well, no, we haven't talked about next week because, Dylan's our guy. But I'm just saying, though. So, yeah, they're not moving. No. And this is Stefanski we talk about right here. This is conservative, close to the vest. That ain't happening. He's like, man, that's why when he gets in the game, he's in the game. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. When he get in, and this is why people always laughing. He's not a normal 5th round pick, people. Deshaun Watson liked the social media post that on TikTok saying that every quarterback that leaves Cleveland suddenly starts playing well elsewhere. Zoe's father, 1980. I did see that on social media moving around. I saw that on social media moving around a little bit. I mean, does he have a slight point there? Yeah. Kinda. Sapper Daddy, I hope you keep Jason and them folks in check on UC when they try to praise Dylan for doing what he was drafted to do. Manage the game. Still didn't look like some of the throws he made, but we won. Like I told people weeks ago, you should beat the Dolphins. But also, there's something you can do. It's called critiquing what's going on. If they want to play that type. Now, if the defense plays like this, Dylan Gabriel can definitely have a lower ceiling in order to win football games. But if the defense isn't giving you turnovers, if they isn't lights out, if you're not getting nothing in the running game, there's no way he can play at this level with some of the things that he's doing for them to win games. So, yeah, you can get a win and be happy about it, but that don't mean that change your mind whether somebody's a long-term answer at quarterback. Brody's buying line. The 2026 class is looking like nasty work. Browns can draft Tate. Ole Miss got a few I would take as well. Well, the quarterback in 26. I heard somebody say Carson Beck, the man threw 4 picks. It should have been 5. The guy that's most consistent right now, and I would say this year, is Mendoza from Indiana. However, there's some things in his game that give me tremendous pause. I mean, he's done it for 1 year. Granted, he's been really solid now, and I do think that he has some really nice traits as a quarterback. However, let's not get it twisted. He's not going to come in and change your whole life. As a matter of fact, Guys, it's a perfect time to talk about this. Coming up on Wednesday, members only on Wednesday, we got Sean King, former NFL quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former Tulane Green Wave quarterback, also former offensive coordinator for University of South Florida. He will be in breaking down this game for all of the 26 guys. So if you want to figure out who's nice in 26 and if your quarterback's in 26, which I doubt it, you're going to get an opportunity to hear his game and his game footage on Mendoza. It's on Lenore Sellers. It's on Nussmeier. It's on all of these guys. Matier. It's on guys right now. So if you want to know about the quarterbacks and you want to study, go ahead, become a member. We do Wednesday breakdown, film breakdowns. Last week was Tyvis. This week we're going to get into Sean King, talk about college quarterbacks. It's a great value. It's a great opportunity for you to see the film for yourself with expert analysis with it from all over the industry. So if you want to know and you want to educate yourself so that when people start saying this, that, and the third, you can say, no. Good try. I actually saw them play. I actually saw G. Bush break them down from college. So don't wait for McShay. Don't wait for what they telling you in the spring. Learn now. Become a member. You can check that out. Let's see. Refs had some money on the game today. There was a couple of questionable calls, but by the way, them questionable calls be going against the Browns a lot, so I'm going to take every one of them. What up, cuz? What up, Greg? I only watched the first half when I jumped on my jet ski. Couldn't keep watching Battle for the Bums. DG was missing throws, almost got picked. Yeah. This was not. The Dolphins is trash. I mean, they are bad. I mean, it looked real bad from their standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised if them dudes didn't even get on the plane. They might get fired today. But quarterback play leaves a little bit desired, but I thought there were some bright spots, like Quishon Judkins, like the defense, like what we was talking about. But by the way, let's keep it real. I mean, it was nothing to write home about, especially with the quarterback stuff. Brody's bottom line, and some people wanted Travion Henderson over Judkins. Yeah, it was a debate. I went back and forth with it. Like, I don't know. But Judkins, I mean, I knew he would be pretty good in the league. I didn't think he was going to come with this type of energy, right? You actually got somebody that if you pair, I want to see what it looks like. We pair him with Shedeur. Walt Lika Production, thank you so much for the super chat. Moni, I want Prime to see him play in person. There we go. I think he will be there his first start. He even told him, hey, man, I ain't coming to see you play as a backup. That's like, dang. Prime funny. G-Dub, Mr. Watson will be 12's backup. I'm just saying. By the way, let me tell you this. Dylan Gabriel's not better than Deshaun Watson. I don't know why people be trying to go that route. I mean, if they had an open competition, I don't think he could beat him out. I was just thought about that to somebody the other day. Tell G. Bush, there are already articles out of the Dolphins to fire Mike McDaniel and trade for Shedeur Sanders. The Mike McDaniel's part, yeah, it's nasty. He's out of here. But I'm not trading Shedeur. I told you, I didn't waited all this time. I ain't about to wait that much longer. TW says, never seen a blowout so boring. Unheard of. Yeah, it wasn't no fire. Actually, I'm gonna push back on that. I liked the game because I'm a defensive guy. So if the defense is dominating like that, I've seen sacks, I've seen pick sixes, I've seen extra turnovers. I saw some creativity when they was moving around. So, and by the way, I like seeing Quishon Judkins in the Wildcat too, to see him run. But I see what you're saying. You talk about from an offensive standpoint in that type of game. It was raining. It was sloppy. So I get what you're saying with that. FYI, I recorded the crowd shouting for Shedeur. You got the receipts. You say, I'm gonna record this. Camaro Kitchen, the play calling today just highlighted the quarterback limitations and lack of trust. Yep, it is definitely limitations. That's why when people was just like, oh, we got to see Shedeur get some, because they're gonna try to say if Dylan don't throw no picks and I want to see it, because I don't want them to try to bear. And I'm like, no, that's not the way this works. I mean, if you think he's gonna be running around trying to keep his job doing that, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So for me, you're gonna see him much sooner rather than later. With that being said, I'm gonna take the win. Cleveland Browns again dominate the Miami Dolphins 31-6 at home. They dominate behind defense and 3 touchdowns by Quinshaw and Judkins. For me, great win. Any win I can get as a person covering the Browns, I'm going to take the win. Whether it's nasty, rainy, whatever the case may be, I'm going to take the win. But at the end of the day, you can definitely critique in a win. So for me, we'll take that. We'll take what we got, and we're going to continue to build on that. And especially when you got young players seeing success. You want to see young players getting success, and that translates to not only him, but Shedeur Sanders and other people. With that being said, you never know when G. Bush might show up. Rain, television, sleet. Well, you know what we do. We always, no matter how bad they get, we always going to support the Browns, especially this guy. But you want the fresh cut, the real cut, the Barbershop is the place to be. Make sure you check us out coming up tomorrow. We'll find out what the rest of my panel on UCSS has to say about this win. We'll drink some Kool-Aid. And as always, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, become a member. And on Tuesday, we got a story. We got Earl the Pearl coming up on Tuesday. He has a tragic story about his mom, his dad, losing loved ones and growing up in the city of Cleveland, how he got into the industry. Check that out. Members only, 7 p.m. Members only on Wednesday. Members only with my man, Sean King, breaking down the quarterbacks in 26. So be a part of all that, and we appreciate every single member that we got today. That being said, as always, go Browns.